NBA season is actually more exciting for me now that it's over.
I geek out with the NBA offseason stuff, man.
It rivals the NFL for me now. It never used to, but it rivals
it's better.
the NFL. You really?
Yeah.
I bet you.
I feel like there isn't as much exciting movement going on in the NFL. There aren't players working in back rooms, having high-priced wines, figuring out where they're going to play next. You know what I mean? Wine's big in the NBA culture.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mari Sotomayor takes baths in it. Joining us right now to help make sense of it all, Andrew Sharp from Sports Illustrated. Andrew, we just spent like 10, 15 minutes of Chris telling me to get over myself. The Knicks aren't going to be relevant. Is there any way I could be relevant as a Knicks fan?
Oh, man. I wish I could help out here. But I don't see the Knicks being relevant, at least this summer. Although, look, they're trying to clear space for next summer and the next few years, so maybe they won't be a complete joke in a couple years. But as far as, like, the next 2 weeks, yeah, the Knicks are pretty much the bottom of the barrel when it comes to free agency.
All right, Andrew, I promise we'll get to the important free agency stuff here, but I'm curious because the Nets have created enough space now to sign 2 max guys after this season. Has Brooklyn in any way passed Manhattan as a more attractive destination for like a Kyrie who says he wants to play in New York?
Yeah, I think that's going to be something to watch going forward because it really is going to depend on how dysfunctional the Knicks are, because I think in a vacuum, obviously the Knicks are a marquee franchise, and it's hard to beat that platform, what they give players, and that has been true for 30 years and hasn't really mattered because they've been such a mess in other respects that it's hard to attract guys. And so I think, it's possible that Brooklyn overachieves this year and people are really into what they're building, and other free agents next summer look at them and say, look, this situation makes a lot of sense. And in that case, the Knicks are going to have to take a couple steps forward to sort of match that progress. And, I don't want to be too down on the Knicks because it's certainly possible with Fizdale there, and I like Frankie Nitalinka.
We call him Frenchy Frank.
Yeah, French Frank. I like those guys, so I'm not ready to give up hope just yet, but they've got to prove it.
Sports Illustrated's Andrew Sharp with us right now on 104.5 The Team. We're starting to hear that Paul George is not going to remain in OKC. What are you hearing, and where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I mean, there have been signals coming from Paul George's camp for the last week that it's certainly that he's considering staying in OKC, and I think they're trying to sort of drive up the drama because he's hosting a SportsCenter special. But to me, I will be pretty shocked if he does not end up on the Lakers within the first few days of free agency. He is sort of a wild card that is going to have a lot of. I mean, basically, if he commits to LA, LeBron's probably coming too, and they may trade for Kawhi, and we could be talking about like the new super team in a couple days. So it's hard to read Paul George entirely, but I would bet on LA for him.
So, Andrew, in your mind of the domino pieces, we actually were just talking about this, for the Lakers, Paul George is the first domino to fall.
I think he is the first domino, and I think that they will feel a lot more comfortable if they can kind of look, none of this is legal under NBA rules, but if they can get an indication from his camp that Paul George is going to be in L.A., I think the Lakers then will become more aggressive pursuing Kawhi with the assumption that LeBron is coming too, and it could all ramp up pretty quickly. But Paul George will probably be the first domino.
Check him out on Twitter, simply at Andrew Sharp. Check him out, SI.com, as well as in the subscripted magazine. All right, Andrew, if the Lakers are going to get Kawhi, what are they going to have to give up here? Because if I'm the Spurs, while I know it's smart for me to trade a guy who doesn't want to be here and could just leave on his own in free agency and I get nothing for him, I also need to ask a lot for a top 3 player. So are we talking a package that includes Lonzo, Ingram, and Kuzma?
We could be. And this is why I heard you guys talk about NBA offseason versus NFL offseason. To me, what I really enjoy about the NBA summer is that you kind of get to watch these teams play chess, and the Spurs and Lakers right now are really kind of locked in a game of chicken almost, where everyone knows that Kawhi wants to go to L.A. The Spurs do not necessarily want to clear the path for a new Lakers dynasty, and so they're trying to make it as difficult as possible. They're leaking that the Celtics are involved and to try and drive up the price. To me, what I think it'll end up being is a trade package structured around Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, maybe Josh Hart. I don't think that they'll be interested in Lonzo, and I think the one question right now is whether the Lakers will try to trade Lonzo independently for some assets that they can then send to the Spurs if they really need to sort of sweeten the pot to get this deal done. But to me, what will probably happen is Ingram, Kuzma, and a couple extra pieces to San Antonio, and then the Lakers will turn around and trade Lonzo and attach Lonzo to Luol Deng's contract to try to clear some cap space.
That would be smart. And it would, unfortunately, though, at the same time deprive us of the LeVar Ball, LeBron conversations we could be having.
Well, not only that, look, sending LeVar Ball to San Antonio for a year with Greg Popovich would be great for his Facebook Live show or whatever. So, I mean, I think there are a lot of entertaining directions this could go. But I think more realistically is that Lonzo and LeVar end up in, like, Orlando or something.
Sports Illustrated's Andrew Sharp with us right now, 104.5 The Team. So, I mean, I know that, Boston's been trotted out there, stuff like that, but realistically speaking, in your mind, are there any other viable options for San Antonio to send Kawhi?
Yeah, I think the one team that has been it's been sort of underplayed today because there's all this buzz about the Celtics and Lakers. I think the longer this goes, the more incentive the Sixers will have to sort of up the ante and try to steal Kawhi, which to me, look, Philly is a team that is much closer to a title than the Lakers are, and if I were the Sixers, they have cap space this summer and next summer, and then they have to pay big money to Ben Simmons, and they'll be kind of tied up for the foreseeable future from there. So if I were them, I would think long and hard about trying to match whatever LA puts on the table. I would probably include Markelle Fultz in a trade, which at this point, what I've heard is that he's not available for San Antonio, but that's the only other sort of dark horse to watch in all this.
Andrew, any chance that LeBron stays in Cleveland?
Yeah, from what I've heard, that it's not impossible. It's hard for me to imagine it though, because I look at that roster, and not only does he not have enough now, but there aren't really any clear pieces that you can trade to improve things. I mean, they have no flexibility under the cap, so if he stays, it would be for reasons that are beyond basketball, in my opinion. And but that, by the same token, people who are more plugged in than I am have said all along, don't write off the Cavs, and that's still a possibility. Any
truth to the rumor I just created that the Knicks are a viable option for LeBron James?
The Knicks are not a viable option. Oh. And honestly, it's sad that the Knicks have fallen so far, because generally they at least get the token mention in all of these superstar conversations, but we're not even going through the motions with the Knicks this summer. They've been completely off the map. So hopefully they
Well, gotta go, Andrew.
I apologize. Next summer, we'll do this with Kevin Durant.
All right, I'm in.
Andrew, we'll bother you with the existential question of, like, are these super teams good for the NBA at another time? But I don't want to keep you too much longer here. So I do want to get this in, because I know, like me, you're a Game of Thrones fan. And without Game in 2018, what else are we watching?
Man, I don't know. I gave Westworld a try.
Yeah, I've tried really too. I can't get on board. I'm struggling with that one. Are you watching Billions on Showtime?
Billions, honest to God, I feel more of a vacuum in my life with Billions now off the air than I do with Game of Thrones off the air.
Strong show.
Wow.
Accelerate that new season of Billions.
Yep.
But yes, that would be my rec if people are looking for a show to watch.
If you're into weird, American Gods. Just throwing that out there.
I have heard that it's good. I've also heard that it's weird. So maybe I'll get bored later in the summer and check it out.
Well, as a Knicks fan, I watched it all during the basketball season. Andrew
Good
Sharp,
deal.
Sports
That's a good
Illustrated.
solution.
Yeah, I got to survive however I can, man. We appreciate you, and even though I don't love your answers, they're good and they're honest, and thank you for them.
All right, I'll talk to you guys
Good
soon.
stuff, dude. Thanks, Andrew.
Oh, man, the good stuff. Andrew Sharp right there at Sports Illustrated. You bring up a good point. There's, I haven't watched Billions.
Oh, you got to watch it, man. Now, we're 3 seasons in. Season 1 is good. Season 2, it takes off.
Yeah?
And
see, Westworld season 1 good. Season 2, they got crazy.
So you've watched both? Okay, yes. I've watched all the way through season 1 of Westworld. I'm 2 episodes into season 2. And I don't know. It's something in my own brain, I'm sure, because a lot of people I know love it, and they talk me into watching it, and I'm struggling with it.
It's very weird. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who likes to do other things while I'm watching.
Can't with that one.
Not with that one,
no.
not at all.